The lights inside Tottenham Hotspur Stadium blazed like a battlefield under the London sky. Over 60,000 fans roared in unison, their voices shaking the very foundations of the arena. This was Anthony Joshua's home, his kingdom, a place where heavyweight dreams were defended with thunderous fists and unbreakable pride. Joshua stood tall in the ring, the unified champion of the world, sculpted like a statue of power, carrying the weight of British boxing on his shoulders. But across from him stood a different kind of warrior. Oleksandr Usyk, the master craftsman from Ukraine, smaller in size but vast in skill, an Olympic gold medalist, an undisputed cruiserweight king, a technician who had dismantled giants before. This was not a simple title defense, this was a clash of philosophies, power versus precision, strength versus speed. Joshua was built for destruction, his knockouts echoing through boxing history. Usyk was built for control, his footwork and angles forming a symphony of movement. The crowd expected dominance from the bigger man, but Usyk carried something deeper: belief. Years of discipline, countless rounds of sacrifice, and a mind sharpened by elite competition. As the bell approached, the tension thickened, cameras flashed, hearts pounded. This was more than a fight, it was a test of identity. Could Joshua impose his physical will, or would Usyk rewrite the heavyweight blueprint? The referee called them forward, gloves touched, respect was exchanged. But once the bell rang, respect would be replaced by survival, 2 champions, 1 crown, and a night that would change the heavyweight division forever. The opening bell cracked through the stadium like a gunshot, and Oleksandr Usyk burst into motion. Light on his feet, bouncing on his toes, he glided across the canvas like a shadow. Anthony Joshua advanced with measured steps, eyes locked, searching for distance. But Usyk refused to be found. In and out, left, right, disappear. His jab snapped through the air, landing clean before Joshua could set his feet. The British champion tried to impose his size, but the Ukrainian's movement disrupted every plan. Angles shifted, feints froze reactions. Joshua threw heavy shots, but Usyk was already gone. The crowd, expecting an early storm from AJ, began to murmur. This was not the script they had imagined. Usyk's southpaw left hand slid through the guard, sharp and precise, tapping Joshua's face like a reminder this was chess, not war. Joshua stayed patient, pumping the jab to the chest, trying to slow the rhythm. But Usyk kept changing gears, circling, slipping, countering. The smaller man was controlling the tempo, forcing the champion to think instead of dominate. Joshua's power was present, but power needs timing, and Usyk was stealing it. The Ukrainian's footwork created confusion, his combinations landed without warning, and his confidence grew with every clean connection. The opening rounds belonged to speed, intelligence, and rhythm. Joshua was not losing, but he was being challenged in ways few had ever dared. The heavyweight king was no longer hunting, he was adjusting, and Usyk, he was just getting started. As the middle rounds approached, Anthony Joshua began to settle into the storm. The early chaos had passed, and now the champion started to find structure in the movement. His jab grew heavier, snapping into Usyk's chest, forcing the Ukrainian to feel the weight of a true heavyweight. Joshua's right hand followed, thudding into gloves and arms, reminding Usyk that every exchange carried danger. The crowd responded, their voices rising with each solid connection. This was the Joshua they knew, disciplined, powerful, controlled. But Usyk did not panic. He absorbed the pressure, rolled with the shots, and answered with precision. His left hand continued to slip through the guard, touching Joshua's face, disrupting his rhythm. The Ukrainian mixed in body shots, quietly draining the champion's energy. Joshua pressed forward, trying to cut the ring, trying to trap the smaller man against the ropes, but Usyk's feet refused to be pinned. He danced away, pivoted out, and countered with sharp combinations. Every time Joshua landed something meaningful, Usyk answered with 2 of his own. This was no longer just about speed, it was about stamina, intelligence, and heart. Joshua showed flashes of dominance, moments where his power shifted momentum, but Usyk's consistency was relentless. The Ukrainian was not trying to win moments, he was winning rounds. His calm never broke, his focus never faded. Joshua was fighting bravely, adjusting, pushing forward, but Usyk was solving the puzzle in real time. The middle rounds told a deeper story. This wasn't about size or strength anymore. This was about who could think under pressure, and Usyk was thinking faster. As the fight entered the championship rounds, exhaustion began to reveal the truth. Sweat poured, breathing deepened, muscles burned, but Oleksandr Usyk's movement never stopped. He circled, feinted, and fired with the same sharp rhythm that defined the early rounds. Anthony Joshua, showing pure heart, stood his ground. He launched heavy right hands, searching for the moment that could turn everything around. The crowd roared for a knockout that never came. Usyk answered every surge with precision. His combinations flowed like water, left hand, right hook, pivot away. Joshua's face showed the damage now, swelling around the eye, cuts forming. But still the champion marched forward, fueled by pride and the belief that one punch could change history. Usyk, however, refused to give him that chance. He stayed just outside danger, picking his shots, draining Joshua's energy with body work and constant pressure. The Ukrainian was no longer just surviving, he was controlling. Each round felt like a lesson. Joshua fought with courage, but Usyk fought with clarity. The smaller man was outworking the bigger one, outthinking him and outlasting him. The British crowd, once thunderous, grew quieter as reality set in. This was not a domination by force, this was domination by skill. Usyk's conditioning, footwork, and composure carried him through the storm. The champion was still standing, still dangerous, but the momentum belonged to the challenger. The fight was slipping away, round by round, punch by punch. The The final bell loomed and both warriors emptied what remained in their tanks. Joshua stood tall, throwing with everything he had left. Usyk answered with speed, angles, and relentless combinations. The Ukrainian moved like a man possessed, refusing to slow, refusing to surrender control. Every punch carried purpose. Every step carried intelligence. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the smaller fighter continued to outmaneuver the heavyweight king. When the final seconds ticked away, both men stood exhausted, bruised, but unbroken. The bell rang. 12 rounds of elite combat were complete. Now only the judges stood between history and heartbreak. The fighters waited. The arena held its breath. Then the announcement echoed through the stadium. Unanimous decision. A new heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk. The Ukrainian fell to his knees, overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streamed down his face. He had done the impossible. In the heart of enemy territory, against one of the most powerful champions of the era, Usyk had proven that skill, discipline, and belief could conquer size. Anthony Joshua stood respectfully, humbled but proud. He had fought with courage, but on this night the better boxer had won. This was more than a title change, it was a shift in heavyweight history. A reminder that boxing is not just about power, it is about timing, about intelligence, about heart. Oleksandr Usyk didn't just win belts that night, he won respect, legacy, and his place among the greats.